Hey guys, so the last time we got a coach on here who grew his coaching business solely using organic content. Now we have a digital marketing expert slash paid ads expert. Even though he's not a coach himself, his knowledge on paid ads across different industries can really benefit anyone who's really trying to grow their businesses, even coaches. So why do we have him here? Because he's someone who's achieved consistent 100K days and has made over $1 million in sales in less than 14 days, all documented on his Instagram. He's basically a community legend. But if that wasn't enough, he spent over $30 million on paid ads. But above all of that, he's someone who's completely changed my life forever, and we'll get into that soon. But yeah, Vic, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
And I appreciate that intro. That was great. So my name is Victor Munoz. I go by @ecomvic on IG. That's kind of where a lot of people know me in the community of dropshipping and e-commerce in general. So I've kind of been doing a lot of everything. I started about 7 years ago in digital marketing. I started working actually at a marketing agency, but my boss at the time was really cool. He kind of pursued me to go or pushed me to go do new things, and I learned about dropshipping from there. Had a successful dropshipping store right off the bat. So stuck with dropshipping, stuck with marketing agencies. So I own a marketing agency. We're very selective with clients, and like those things were my bread and butter. Around 2020, I had a big issue with my dropshipping side of business. If you guys know me, I've talked about this plenty of times on different podcast shows, whatever it is, where basically I'm in a big lawsuit against the biggest bank on the planet. I won't get too much into that. But that pivoted me into affiliate marketing. So I started with affiliate marketing, which is straight sale, like affiliate marketing, Nutra, stuff of that nature, all the way up until like 2022. 2023, I started learning a little bit more about lead generation affiliate marketing. So I started doing that. And then this past year, I've been focused a lot more on pay-per-call affiliate marketing. So that's kind of like where I'm at right now. Still do a little bit of e-com for myself, not too much. It's just if I find a winning product, I'll go ahead and grab it. Clients I still do, so I guess that's the most e-com I do. And I'm actually very involved in the casino marketing space as well.
Oh, casino marketing?
Yeah, casino marketing is actually where I've spent probably the most at this point. And I've only been at it for a year, and I've spent probably more than everything else on casino. Just like, it's crazy. That's a whole different industry though. That's a monster.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard about casino marketing. But
yeah, so
when did you realize, like, when you were doing ads, that damn, like, I'm really good at this and I can make some serious money? Like, when was that like aha moment for you?
it took a little bit longer than like most people would think, right? So I had my first successful dropshipping store probably, I think it was like literally the beginning, like January of 2018. And so that was literally, I started dropshipping like literally a month before that. So my first, like, I took a while to build the store just because I didn't know what I was doing, but built the store and it instantly became a success. But I was literally only doing like meme page shout outs, like basically influence marketing, I guess you could say, right? And so I stuck with that, and that was doing really well for me. I was making like 5K, 10K profit a month at some points, and that was me like straight out of college, dropped out. So I'm making good money, so I didn't really think much of it. I thought, this is cool. And yeah, I saw some guys doing crazy numbers with Facebook ads, but I was like, hey, this is good. Why stress myself? Let me just, like, I was kind of complacent, and I just rocked with that. But eventually that store died, and that's when I really started making the push that, hey, this isn't really a skill, what I'm doing, right? Like, anybody could go reach out to these meme pages, go get a shout out. Like, I need to learn an actual skill. So that skill ended up becoming Facebook ads. I ended up getting a mentor. His name's Justin Wool. I actually got scammed before I got him, so that's a whole nother story, but we won't get into that. So lost 5K and then actually got a real mentor. He put me on track to where I needed to be. I didn't really get a lot of success with him. Not to say that his coaching wasn't great. It was actually really great. It helped me a lot. It helped me learn the fundamentals. But ultimately, like, as you guys know who do drop shipping, like, not every product's going to be a winner. So it did take me a little bit after my time with him to find my winning product. And then I did 100K in a month. And that was probably, I would say, June of like 2019. So it did take me a while to get my first 100K month. That was like 20K profit. And then from there, just consistently doing it more and more, I got more comfortable with Facebook ads. I started taking on clients for Facebook ads, and that diversity between different niches that I was like doing with the clients helped me a lot to the point where, I finally felt comfortable. So I would say by the end of like the beginning of 2020 is when I really felt confident and like, hey, I can actually do Facebook ads at a high level. And then I kind of proved that with the store I had, which we started doing 100K days with, up like 4 months later. So that's kind of around the time frame, I'd say. So it probably took me like a year and a half to kind of just master like marketing principles as well as like just media buying and stuff of that nature.
I heard you talk about having a mentor, right? Justin Wool, etc. Do you feel like in any way that sort of helped to like push you to achieve the results that you did, or was it most of like figuring it out on your own? No, you're good.
So definitely think it does help with the results. I will say this though, I think there's two types of mentors on this planet. So there's mentors that you pay for. Justin happened to be that type of mentor. I paid for his coaching program. It worked out. I will say like you don't get as great of a bond with that person typically when you do that unless you stay in communication with them. I have some students who paid for when I used to do coaching who paid for my coaching. I'm still cool with them. I talk to them. They can always reach out to me. But there's some students who I've never heard from since then, right? And it's obviously just a two-way street, like the communication going behind between the two. But I will say it's definitely important to have a mentor. I think they have to align with where you're trying to be because they've probably already had the mistakes that you're making, right? Like all the mistakes that you're making could have been avoided with that mentor because they've already been through it at least once or twice. So with Justin, he definitely helped me get to the point where I understood the fundamentals. But it wasn't until further mentors. I have a couple mentors now. I have like at least four I could think of, like Shin, let's see, Alex. I have a new friend who's kind of becoming a mentor named Samar, and then Dan De Silva. So those guys have all helped me in one way, shape, or form better myself. But those are mentorships I didn't have to pay for. Those just came from like connections and friendships I forged with these guys and equal exchange of value, right? So I will say, like, typically you want to have those type of mentors, but when you're starting, it's very difficult to get those type of mentors because you have no value to provide. So you probably do have to start with somebody you have to pay for. I would say the best advice is just make sure they're trusted. Do your research. Ask people, like, if they have a story or like a highlight reel of students, probably reach out to the students and see how their honest opinion was. And if it's a goal, then go ahead and do it. That's at least going to help you avoid a lot of mistakes, or buy a really good course if you can find one out there. I know Jose Torres, he's a good friend of mine, Revenue Express, shout out to him. He just dropped a beginner dropshipping course. So anybody who's looking for that, like by all means, go to him. I used to have one. It's outdated. I wouldn't even recommend my own course now. The landscape's changed too much. His is probably the best way to go. But yeah, like just start somewhere. I would say like, yeah, you can learn from YouTube. But another thing too that I also got, I think what took me so long to get to over the curve is like, I was learning from multiple YouTubers, like 5 of them at the same time. Pick 2 max that you really like and just follow their strategies and just do that. Don't be doing everybody's because then you're just going to kind of get information overload and mess yourself up. So kind of like my advice on like mentorship / coaching, like if I had to give it out.
I think it's interesting we were talking about like at the beginning, you're probably not going to have as much value and you have to like communicate and like almost give your whatever you have, skill or service for free. And it brought me back to initially meeting you, right? It was all literally from a cold DM on IG, like way back when. It was just like, hey, Vic, blah, blah, blah. This is what I do, blah, blah. You can take all the profit. I'll just do what I do. And yeah, just want to hear, what was your POV like?
Yeah, so I mean, I get tons of DMs every day. I still do to this day, and there's like a very few that stand out, right? So like yours stood out, obviously, and we built a relationship through that, where you were our email marketer for me and my business partner at one point, and we've like worked with you a few times, and we've seen you like come up and build your like your brand, with, whether it be the email marketing agency or what you're doing now, which is all awesome to see from our side. But yeah, it's just about providing value. Like even if you feel like you don't have the value, at the end of the chance there's gonna be somebody who's gonna give you a shot. I just happened to give Shamika a shot. And it's because her DM stood out to me, right? Like she was offering a very good value, like, right? She said, you could keep the profits. I'm just trying to get my feet wet. We had a store that was in its infancy, so I really had nothing to lose. So it just made a lot of sense to go with it. And she had the only DM that actually like spoke to me, right? Like she actually wrote something out, where a lot of people try to trick you into like getting you to reply and when saying something stupid, like a one-liner, and then you reply and then they pitch you a whole thing. And it's like, yo, this wasn't genuine, right? So that's kind of like the difference, I think. Like my video editor who I'm currently using, like I literally met him through an Instagram DM, and I've been pitched a million times on video editing prior to him. But again, it's because he stood out, very similar to you, where it's like, hey, he wanted to provide free value first. And then, he showed me his catalog of like previous work, and it just stood out to me. The message was very genuine, and we just, hopped on the call and we went from there. So it definitely could work. I definitely think like if you're in a position where you might be an email marketer, or you're trying to like be an agency and try to get some people under you, or try to help coaches or whatnot, definitely like provide as much value as you can on that DM. You don't have to make your services free if it's not sustainable, but obviously that's a good like entry point. But talk to the people, be like, hey, I studied your thing, your IG, I studied your audience, I understand the audience. Here's like what the notes I've drawn up. I'm not here to waste your time. And then, boom, like that's gonna help you a little bit more. I'm not gonna say they're gonna always reply back, but at least you're increasing your chances, right?
Yeah, like I was just thinking about like it's important that you'll exchange of value. And just like being selfless, being real, and being authentic in whatever you do, like it will always win in the end. Because that DM literally changed my life. And I tell him this all the time, and he's probably tired of me saying it, but I thank him. And he's never once asked for anything in return. One day I'll find something that I could, exchange, but like it'll him and EB, I'll forever be grateful to you guys no matter what happens. And yeah, but before we go too deep, this is not about me. I just want to talk about, you said you spent over $30 million on paid ads. Obviously, that is not easy. It comes with a lot of pressure, right? So just
Yeah.
talk about how you deal with that, knowing that the results with ads could be so unpredictable.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think it varies, right? So that 30 million is between myself, my own brands, my own projects, as well as clients, and like, right. So with that said, like it's a little bit different. I will say when you're running for a client, especially a client that wants to spend so much money per day, like for example, my casino client, it's very difficult to kind of justify it, right? Because like if you have one bad day, you just blew like $30,000 of their money.
Mhm.
So it could be like, they could fire you, you have that in the back of your head, or something goes completely wrong, like, then you're gonna, it's a weird conversation to have with that client. So in terms of just spending money for clients, especially at high scale, that's the nerve-wracking part. It's like, hey, like if I fuck up, like, there's gonna be there might be a backlash from them, right? And obviously it's explaining to them
Yeah,
like, hey, guys, bad days. But at the end of the day, some of these guys don't understand digital marketing. So they're just gonna see a bad day and they don't understand what made
it's
that
a
bad day,
bad day. Yeah.
right? And in terms of running for yourself, I mean, you have a little bit more control, obviously, and it sucks when you have a really good day and then like the next day just flops, which is obviously just part of like inconsistencies with digital marketing in general. But it is nerve wracking ultimately, right? Especially, I would say, like, I think it's a little bit more nerve wracking in the beginning, especially when you're just starting. You have that job because I've been there. I had a job
Yeah.
when I was drop shipping, right? And so, like, when you're like, you worked all week for a paycheck and then nothing hits, and now you're just down, you lost that paycheck pretty much, right? So it does suck and it's very nerve wracking in the beginning, but I think it does come with comfort. As you get more comfortable, you start learning, hey, I should turn things off at this point. I should scale at this point. And you could kind of be a
Mhm.
little bit more predictable with how things are going. There's still a little bit of randomness involved with the algorithms. Bad days happen, like I mentioned, but you do have a little bit more control and you could kind of like, ease your nerves a little bit based on what you're doing. And there's always strategies that you could do that play a little bit more safe, like auto bids on like CBOs, low budget, or if you want to be really aggressive, you could do like a manual bid and just go crazy, right? It just really depends. But as you start learning these like techniques and strategies, like you're just going to get a little bit more comfortable and you're going to be able to have that flexibility to not like worry as much, I guess you could say.
Mm. And it's funny you say that because my next question was going to be, knowing that there's, of course, what you said, bad days, there's good days, highs, lows, data that you have to seek out. What would you say to people who are fearful of that whole thing, right? Fearful of running ads because of these nuances.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, ultimately, like it just comes down to like what you want. If you built the store already and you have the store pretty much built, and like your options are paid shout outs, digital ads, or SEO. SEO, you're gonna take forever to get any traction. I guess you could go viral too, right? Organic, right? TikTok has helped a lot with that. You could try doing the organic route. It works for some people, and some people literally only do organic. By all
Mm.
means, give that a shot if you're on a low budget. But if you're fearful of running ads simply because you're afraid to lose money, then like you probably aren't gonna make it too far in this industry. Like all these people, like literally like digital marketers, most people test with $200 to test one product, right? Sometimes they'll go a little bit further. They still believe it has a little bit of juice, and maybe they just need to crack a little bit more sales. So you do need money to test, and unfortunately, that's just the name of the game if you're gonna do the paid ads route. And ultimately, like scared money doesn't make money, right? So like you do have to
Yeah.
put yourself in a position to be vulnerable and take these losses to be able to potentially change your life. All it takes is one winning product and you could be making $10,000 profit a month, 120K a year, which for most of these people like who are starting, like in my case, I was a college guy, I was making like $1,500 a month working part-time at Home Depot.
Mm.
Like to make $10,000 within a month, like that completely changed my life and my perspective of everything, right? So it's like I wouldn't have got to that point if I didn't take the gamble, and I still had to pay for those shout outs, right? And some of those meme pages that I tried, I got discouraged. They didn't do well, but then I found the ones that worked, and it's all about testing at that point, right? So you do need to, put yourself out there and put yourself in like that financially vulnerable position. Or now you have TikTok, you just go do that. But some people are even scared to get started there. So it's like,
Yeah.
either way, you have to get started one way, shape, or form. And regardless of which one you choose, whether it be organic or it be paid, like you're gonna take losses, and that's just the name of the game. But all you need is that one win to wipe that out, and I guarantee you, like a year or 2 years from now, you're barely gonna remember like the losses you took, right? Like I don't remember any of the losing products I've
Yeah.
had. I remember the winners, but like the losers, like the hundreds of losers I've tested, like where the hell are they now? So like that's just kind of like what you should be thinking about, and that's kind of like the mentality you have to make it in this industry.
That was so fire. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, that was really fire.
Appreciate
But when you were talking about the industries you do, you're talking about affiliate, you're talking about e-com, now casinos.
you.
So obviously you're a marketer at heart, right?
Yeah.
So what are some things that are successful in those areas that could be applied to any industry, right? So say for example, in marketing, there's psychology, certain techniques you have to use, instill curiosity. Like, just tell me about that.
Yeah, so definitely like what you mentioned, like psychology is very important regardless of the business. I actually had a conversation with one of my cousins who lives out here in Vegas. I just moved here a year ago. We hung out, and he was asking me, he's like, "You think marketing is like very important?" I'm like, "Of course," because here's a good example. Is like, I could open the best pizza shop on the planet, but if nobody knows about that pizza shop in my city, like I'm gonna go out of business within a year, right? But if I have a terrible pizza, but I hype it up with like, UGC, I hire all the local influencers, I run paid ads, I give people discounts on that, then people are going to come try it and it might be able to survive a little bit longer. Yeah, eventually if the pizza doesn't improve in quality, it's still going to go downhill, but I'm probably going to get way more momentum doing that with a mediocre product and having a good product and bad marketing. So I think marketing in general is obviously needed, and a lot of marketing is psychology based. Learning how to craft good offers, learning how to provoke or intrigue customers. That's very important. And then I would say the third thing is like learning how to close, right? I think that's kind of like where I've always been a decent closer. I've had industry, like, I've been in industries where closing is a little bit important in terms of the affiliate marketing side with paid per call and lead gen. And I think learning the principles of closing can also help you as a marketer. I feel like a lot of marketers, because we don't really deal with people on the phone or email or trying to close people, we don't really think about certain things or certain like techniques that could be applied. So I think like if you learn how to close and you learn how to market, just the actual like fundamentals and like not just the media buying side, but like the actual like fun marketing psychology behind it, marketing principles, stuff like that. Those two skill sets will take you very far, regardless of what industry you're in. Ironically enough, like I actually met at the club like 3 months ago. I met some guy yeah, I live in Vegas now. It's like crazy, but you meet everybody here. But basically, I met this guy who owns a business, and they literally build train tracks. Like literally, they build train tracks for like trains all over the country, and they're making a lot of money. And that again, same thing. Like they don't really market with paid ads because their audience isn't online like that. But like they have to learn how to close these big deals because they're talking to like old people who are really rich, all these old CEOs that like want these parts from them. It's either between them or the other manufacturer, and they have to learn how to close and present their product and market their product in the presentation to appeal to that customer and get that contract for themselves. So that's like just kind of goes to show you how like important it is regardless of the industry.
Yeah, so a lot of what you're saying, it just comes down to having a good offer and like messaging and knowing how to like use psychology within your messaging, your offer, etc. So combining those, it again builds intrigue. And then if you know how to sell, you know how to bring that across your audience, tap into their pain points, then it's like, how could they not want your product?
Exactly, exactly. And like how like I like to simplify it is like marketing is like how you present the product, like how you showcase it. And then, or I guess let me rephrase that. Sorry. So marketing is how you showcase the product, and selling is how you present it to the customer, right? So those are the two aspects or the two pillars going hand in hand. And if you can master that, you could pretty much you'll be very successful, regardless if you do stick with e-com or
you sell anything.
Yeah, you could sell anything at that point, right?
Okay. So my audience is of course is primarily persons who do e-com or persons who do coaching. Even though you haven't done ads specifically for coaches, I think you've done ads for service-based business though. So I do think that comes hand in hand. So from your experience, what do you think, say, a coach could apply when it comes to running paid ads, growing their business, their client base? Like how could they market their services?
Yeah, so definitely I would look into making like good VSLs, like video sales letters, as well as like even trying live webinars. Those are like things that have worked for a very long time for those industries. And even for like service-based industries, like for example, like solar, we used to do solar and real estate a lot, me and my business partner, Jesse. And we had a VSL to acquire clients, right? So for solar, it'd be like, hey, here's the 5 common misconceptions when getting solar. That was like literally the ad, and then that was the VSL. He was in the VSL and he was presenting like, hey, if you're looking to get into solar, reach out to us. These are the 5 common misconceptions based off all the deals that we've closed, we've noticed. And then we had a whole closing team, so we didn't close ourselves, we just ran the ads. But we made pretty good money off of that. And that VSL worked because we encouraged people at the end to book a call. So essentially, we told them like, hey, you're already looking for solar. These are the 5 things to look out for. So we're gaining credibility and teaching them a little bit. They're appreciative of us teaching them. It's like, hey, if you want to learn how you could get solar on your house at the best rate, please book a call with one of our agents. So that worked really well. For real estate, we actually ran it to get clients. Like, so we actually got realtors under like as clients. And so same thing, we just use that method where it's like, hey, we address the common issues. So it's like, hey, these are 3 marketing mistakes realtors are making, right? Go through those 3 issues. Hey, this is how our system can help you exponentially sell more houses, and then book a call with us and we would close them to be a client. So that was a little bit of a different funnel, but that's how like we kind of run our VSLs. We always want to address a problem and teach people to gain their trust. So if you were to do it in terms of like a course, what you would do is something along the lines of like, hey, these are the 3 common misconceptions or biggest mistakes dropshippers do in 2024. these are the best these are the best strategies as well. And then you make that into a VSL or like a webinar. You address the problems, you show them the solutions, you show them a little bit extra, and then you pitch them on to book a call if you're going to close them over the phone, or if you're selling like a lower ticket offer, like a course, like $300, $500, you can probably just push them to a sales page and hope they buy at that point.
It's crazy. I literally could ask you about anything and you'd have a long answer on marketing. It goes to show you've been in this industry for like a while, right? Like just doing marketing.
Almost 7 years, I think. Yeah, I think 7 years coming up pretty much. Yeah.
It's crazy because I remember back then, and this is probably one of my biggest mistakes. Like you were telling me, hey, I think you should run ads. And I was just like, I'm scared. I don't know. Like, I don't want to run ads. It's okay. I already have clients, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, okay, but when that organic funnel dries up, what do you have then? When those referrals are inconsistent, what do you have then? And it's like, looking back, that was a huge mistake. But again, as I said for this call, you live and you learn. And I'm 23 and there's more out there. And I'm learning from like guys like Vic. And I asked this question because I want to lead it to something. Okay. So do you think you could have scaled to these numbers, 100K days or a million in 14 days, whatever, scaled your agency to how many clients, these achievements, etc., using organic content solely?
I think back then it was a lot different. So ironically enough, this is actually one of my favorite questions. I got this same question. I spoke at an event for Frankie Q. I don't know how to say his last name, so I'm gonna say Frankie Q. I was on a panel for his event, and they asked the same question where it's like, hey, do you think organic content is the way to go nowadays, or could somebody just get started fully with that? When I started, organic content was very difficult, right? You had to build a meme page, you had to build a fan page, you had to do it. There wasn't TikTok. Like when I came up, like TikTok wasn't even a thing yet. So it was very difficult to go viral on Instagram. YouTube was very difficult, obviously. So at that point, it's like, it was really difficult just to get organic push, right? Organic was just kind of something you like, as you ran ads, you built the Facebook page or you built the IG page and you start just posting on that as well. And like you're kind of growing the fan base. But to just go viral on just specifically that, it was a lot more difficult. So back then I would say no, I don't think I would be able to. But I do know guys now who literally strictly focus on organic, and then like they're crushing it, right? So for example, like TikTok has really changed the landscape because TikTok also like provoked Instagram to go with Reels, as well as Facebook and then Shorts on YouTube. So all these things are very similar and they're all very easy to go viral on. Their algorithms are tuned to go viral. So it's a lot more easier to get consistency and just go crazy. And now with the introduction of TikTok Shop, you could go viral one time. Now you have people who want to buy your product and review it and get a commission. So now you're just getting free UGC and you can repost that on your main page. So like they created a funnel, like TikTok really shaped the game where it's like an endless cycle. So if you wanted to go for completely organic, you could definitely go organic and you can make a good amount of money off of it too. And that's the beauty of TikTok right now. And I think it's a really great opportunity for those who are doing e-com who, want to like just stick to like, doing organic and just hoping that, they buy the product and they just make a lot of videos. One pops off. You only need one there to kind of get a good momentum. And then you just gotta, so open your TikTok shop, set a good commission so these people want to buy your or get your product and like review it, and then it's just going to keep on compounding at that point. So there's definitely good momentum there, and I think in today's landscape, organic is definitely a viable route. I just I come from paid ads and that's kind of my forte, so I'm always going to push that. But if somebody wanted to be organic and then add paid ads later, that's obviously like still a good route.
You've seen people do this, right? And running
I know a couple people. I can't name them off the top of my head. Like everybody's contacts are blur right now. But pretty much, there's a couple guys I know who like really strictly do organic, and like they're making pretty good money off that, right? And that's that's the cool thing. And with organic, obviously your profit margins are a lot higher because you're not paying for paid ads. So that's also the beauty of it as well. Especially if you're in a cash flow like type position and you don't really want to do paid ads because your budget might not be the best. That's a great way to obviously like once you're making profit, just put a little bit of support to paid ads to learn, and then you should be able to pick it up quickly at that point.
Okay, you sort of like recommend paid ads because you've done paid ads before, and that organic content is like people can scale, but obviously it's not gonna take the same amount of time. Paid ads is literally just momentum you're pumping or giving an audience to whatever you're doing, right? And so some people think once you do paid ads, it's the end all be all. Of course, I'm gonna make this amount of money, get this amount of clients, and it's really not. You sort of have to, like, you cannot just run it to a random page or a random profile. You have to also have organic content. right?
Yeah, definitely.
People demonize organic content a lot, but it's the funnel you said, like the not funnel, the combining of organic
Yeah.
content and like ads, which is like really good to like excel.
Yeah, it definitely increases your credibility, right? Ultimately, like if your goal with your ecom dropshipping store is to build a brand, that page is going to come in handy way in the future, right? It might not be
Mhm.
important for the first couple months, but eventually, when you get momentum and people are going to come recommend it to their friends,
Yeah.
they're gonna shoot them the IG, they're gonna shoot them like the whatever social pages you have, the TikTok or whatever. So it's very important to kind of start building those up as well. And you can always hire out for that. Obviously, like if you're getting
Hmm.
UGC made or like all these other things, just post that, right? Or just post reviews that you get that are good reviews. You can always email your customers and give them a discount code to post a good review, and
Yeah.
then use that as like content you could post, right? And that's all like good stuff that you could definitely do, alongside paid ads, as you're kind of growing that. So that's very important, I think, as well. I think if you're fully just in the dropshipping realm though, and you're just gonna launch a product, run it for a month or two, then maybe it's not as important.
Yeah, it's
But if your
not
end goal
as.
is to build a brand or like have some type of credibility, then ultimately you're gonna want to start thinking about how to build that organic side as well.
Yeah, because I remember working with you with your stores, and one of the things you'd ensure to do is that you'd always ensure to say, maybe have a little Instagram page or Facebook page where people can go and they can actually see, oh, this brand has followers. It's the persons that are repping the whatever you're selling, right?
Yep.
To show that it's actually real. There's a real person behind the brand, and in the emails, they say, hey, like personalize these emails, or what you said, to send an email ask with the discount asking for some UGC. At the end of the day, they are your customers, and if they
Yep.
truly enjoy your service, they're like a discount in exchange is kind of like a, like, again, it's value, and people love free value, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So you're obviously a busy person, and I've said this before we started this interview, just like how much projects you've been working on. You listed off like 4 things, and so
Yeah.
like, does it ever get a little bit overwhelming for
Yeah,
you?
it definitely does. I think I'm starting to cut back, and I think I finally learned
Mhm.
like how to cut back. So with me, it's like I'm very guilty of the shiny object syndrome. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
preach to my
me
students
too.
not to have it, and I have it myself. So it's kind of
Me too.
hypocritical on my part. But at the end of the day, like ultimately, like I kind of finally learned. So like right now, I'm really only focused on two projects. One of them is like a
Hmm.
long term in the affiliate space slash lead generation space. I'm not gonna say too much about it right now. And then one of
Yeah.
them is an e-com store with my business partner Jesse. I do have the agency, but the agency, like, we're very selective on like what clients we pick, and we're not onboarding any new clients right now. So like, there's not a lot of thought that goes into it. It's pretty much like we already know what's going on. So like,
Yeah.
it doesn't require a lot of new brain power to operate. So it's just kind of coasting. But in terms of everything that's actually like new or like actually a project in working order, like yeah, it's just two things now. Jesse luckily is handling like a lot of the stuff on the ecom
Hmm.
store, so I don't have to put as much effort on my side. Like it's pretty fair there. And then on the other one, like I'm building it with my other two business partners. Evie's one of them on that. My other business partner Sam. So like we're building this thing out, and we're about like 2 weeks to 3 weeks from launching it. So we're pretty excited to see how it goes. But
Yeah.
this is like our long term project. Like we finally sat down, all three of us, and we're like, hey, we made good money in the pay per call space. We made good money in the lead gen space. Like we need to like own something now. So it's like, okay, now we're
Hmm.
kind of pushing steps to own our own thing. And this is our end all be all for at least for the time seeing, the foreseeable future, where it's like, hey, we put 3, 4, 5 years into this. We can hopefully exit for like 10, 20, 30 million by the time that 5 year time is up, and then we'll just figure out what's next. But this is kind of like what we're really focusing on, and I'm learning how to code. I'm learning how to do all this extra stuff. So it does get overwhelming in terms of learning new things, but it's all stuff that's needed towards this, and that's what kind of makes it like not replicatable. So like if somebody wants to come steal our business model, it's gonna be very difficult for them, right? So these are just things that we're doing, and these are things that I'm focused on right now. But if you would have asked me before, like yeah, I would have a lot of different like things going on, and I would get overwhelmed. I would make money on most of the projects, but there's obviously some duds. But yeah, like I'm just finally learning how to like step back, and I think that comes with age. I'm about to turn 28 next month, so like now I'm like, okay, let me slow down, let me
Yeah.
figure out what I want to do, because I don't want to be doing a million things like all the time. Especially I want to have kids in the next couple of years, so like
Yeah.
to have kids and have like a million projects, that's not fair to your children. So like I want to be able to have two things, build them right now correctly.
Hmm.
By the time like kids roll around, they're kind of automated as well, much like my agency. And then now we're just kind of living life, as well as like now we're just stepping in and to provide kind of like direction rather than actually building things at that point.
And when you talk, I hear that you talk a lot about your business partners, and like you talk about your experience with them, how they've helped you, and to take all of that weight off of your shoulders. And I know for a lot of persons who are listening, maybe they're doing this solo, or maybe they have a business partner, or maybe they just want to like see what it's like, right? So of course you can't handle all of these projects by yourself. For the persons who are interested in having a business partner, what would you say to them, knowing that there's advantages and there's also disadvantages to
Yeah,
doing that?
great question. So yeah, if you were to look into getting a business partner, I would say one, make sure that you guys are friends outside of just all this stuff, right? My business partners, like I could go hang out with them and we could go party, we could go, do whatever, and we're gonna have
Yeah.
a great time, not even thinking about business, right? Ebenezer is one of my best friends on the planet, right? At this point. So it's like I could call him with like, oh, my girlfriend's mad at me, like what do you think I should do? And like it's not even business related, but it's like he's gonna help me out with that situation, right? So I think it's very important to have business partners that you're genuinely friends with. Don't just do it because it's a good thing. Make sure you have at least a good bond with them, and you could kind of see
Yeah.
like, hey, we're gonna become lifetime friends from this point forward. Number two is find business partners that have skill sets that complement yours. Don't have like you don't want to have two similar skill sets. So like for example,
That's
I know a couple
fire.
guys in ecom, like they're both really good at Facebook ads, and then they collaborate. And typically their partnership doesn't last long because like they end up realizing we both do the same thing. We're not really helping each other like grow,
Yeah.
or there's no benefit here, right? We're just be splitting profit pretty much. So like with EB, like we got into a partnership because he knew Google ads, I know Facebook ads, right?
Facebook
Now
ads.
we've kind of grown a lot, like obviously through our we've been business partners for like 5 years
Yep.
now. So it's like we've grown a lot, and like he's kind of dabbled in other spaces and I've dabbled in other spaces, but now that we're working on this new thing together, he's taking experiences that he's had in these different spaces, I'm taking experience I've had in these different spaces, and we're combining them, and now we're bouncing ideas off each other. And it's like we're growing this thing crazy. Sending my business partner Sam, sending my business partner Jacob and Jesse, those are like my main business partners. I have four of them. Me and Jacob don't have anything going on right now. Me and Jesse, like I mentioned, have something. Jesse's one of my high school like best friends. So with him though, like he does know Facebook ads, and we both know the same thing. So that is like, like we have a very similar skill set. But I will say like the project, the e-com store we're working on, I have a little bit more experience on like what the product is going to be, and
Yeah.
he said that he'll take over the marketing side, right? And I trust him because I kind of taught him a lot of what he knows. He kind of obviously like expanded and grew his knowledge as well. So in that sense, like even though we have similar skill sets, we're handling different things of the business to where like we're not interfering with each other. So it should be a
Yeah.
pretty good process. So if you do want to work with somebody that has a similar skill set, just make sure that you guys establish like, hey, well, this is what you're gonna do, this is what I'm gonna do. But ideally, it would be somebody that has a different skill set that complements yours. That's like the best type of business partner, in my opinion. But yeah, those are like that's gonna help you kind of get steer in the right directions. In terms of advantages, to answer your original question, is like one, you're gonna take the workload off of you. Two, more brain power, right? You're gonna have multiple ideas getting spit back and forth. You might have thought of something together that you have never thought of alone.
Yeah.
And those are just kind of the main benefits. It's also gonna help you grow quicker because if you have two brains behind it, you should be able to come up with better ideas, whatnot. In terms of disadvantages, I mean, the only real disadvantage is like sometimes you could bump heads. Like, you're not gonna kill each other, but you're gonna be like, hey, I don't think that's correct. Hey, I don't think
Yeah.
that's correct either. Okay, then you might have a disagreement, but eventually it comes to a resolution, so it doesn't really matter. And then obviously, if you really want to be greedy, like you're gonna make less money because you're splitting. But I would argue
Yeah.
that with a business partner, you'll probably make more revenue anyways. So like it
Mm.
kind of neglects that aspect, right? So I would say like the overall benefits are there. If you're looking to get a business partner, again, just make sure they're a right fit for you, and then just go for it, and then maybe do something like just do something like short term, and if that does well, then you can start thinking about long term projects and whatnot.
Yeah, I love the part when you talk about like getting skills that complement each other. I don't think people think about that enough or do that enough. They usually just see, oh, this guy does the same thing as me, and he does it well. I do the same thing and I do it well. Let's do something, right?
Yeah,
It's like that's good, but you could also do the same thing. You could also do different things, I mean, and just be better because you have a skill that complements other, like email marketing and just like ecom or Facebook ads or whatever. It's like
mhm.
SMS in there as well. If you generate leads, okay, this person could close them. Like
Yeah,
it's also taking a lot of weight off of your back instead of
exactly,
just doing the
exactly.
same thing. But
Exactly. And again, like there's a lot more upside in my opinion. I just say, definitely choose your partners well. I've been burnt by bad business partners. I would say even though you trust them, always put it on paper, get a contract made. And that's just for your safety and like the safety of everybody, right? Because like, eventually like money can change some people, especially if you don't know that person. So like
yeah,
even to this day, me and EB signed contracts together, and it's not even like an issue, like, right? It's like it shouldn't, I will say this, like if they have good intentions, having them sign a contract shouldn't bug them. If it's
Yeah.
bugging them, then there you might want to be a little weary and like tread lightly, right? Because why did it bug them so much that you want to sign a contract to protect both of you, right? Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, it should be to the point where you guys are comfortable enough where it's like, hey, EB, I sent you the contract, go ahead and sign it. All right, let's get started, right? And
Yeah.
it's strictly that. Like it's not like I don't trust you. It's more like, hey, if I ever get greedy or you ever get greedy, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be legally bonded, and that's kind of all it is. And it shouldn't bug them if there's no malicious intent behind it, right?
Yeah, I laughed because I remember like I was thinking back to when you sent me that contract, and dude, I was so happy. I was just like, if anything, I know that I'm going to make this person a lot of money, and that's it, right? You get a good friend out of it, a good partnership, and possibly things happen. Like I
Yeah,
had no objections. I was just like, send me that contract. I'm getting it done in 2 minutes.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
no worries. That is so funny. But 7 years of marketing, obviously it teaches you a lot, right?
yeah.
So creativity. I want to talk about the creative side of like running ads, right? How do you come up with ad creatives that stand out and actually converts?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I will say that's like one of the weaker spots of me. Like I feel like I still struggle with creative ideas at times. But the best
Mhm.
way to go about it is just like honestly with TikTok, there's so many creative people on there. So sometimes it's just as easy as going on TikTok, finding a trend or finding some type of style video for maybe even a different product and then just remaking it for your own product. That seems to do really well. In terms of creatives, like I've been doing a lot of UGC lately. UGC is actually like really, really good for a lot of things, especially in affiliate marketing where there's no physical product to be shown. It's more like just talking about like a service or like
Mhm.
a digital product or something of that nature. So UGC has been kind of like what I've been doing. So I've been writing a lot of scripts for UGC. I'm not perfect at it. I will say EB's better at that than me, and that's kind of
Yeah.
like where he comes into. But yeah, like in terms of like that's like the best way of just me doing it. But if you wanted to get really creative, let's just say you have an ecom product, yeah, look for trends that are like popping off on TikTok. Look at other people's videos for other products that have gone viral
Mm.
and then just recreate that. That's probably the easiest way to get ideas for creatives. Aside from that, I don't really have too much to say on that. Like I said, like I'm not the best at that. That's not like my forte. I'm better at like the actual copywriting on like the description or like certain like scripting or stuff like that. But yeah, in terms of that, like that's not my super strong suit.
Okay, so of course, when it comes to writing copy, and like especially for like copy that converts, you have to like know who to target, and I feel like it's important to understand that when you're doing anything in marketing, especially like running an ad campaign, right? So using that, I just want to understand like your process when it comes to targeting or understanding the audience that you want to target.
Yeah, so it just like so how we kind of start everything is like okay, like just depends on what you're selling, right? So let's just say we're selling like a supplement for women, right? Like a women's supplement that helps them with I don't know, that helps them like joint pain, but specifically targeted for
Mhm.
women. So first thing I would do is I would look to see if there's any competitors in my space already, right? Any direct competitors that I could find. And the easiest way to kind of get a feel for it is go on their website, kind of read their copy, kind of see what
Yep.
they're like, kind of like what emotions they're trying to like instill on the customer, as well as like what kind of language they're using, what kind of colors they're using, stuff like that. Then the next thing you could do is try to find that competitor on Amazon and look at the reviews on Amazon, right? Look at all the
Mm.
verified reviews, like that way they're not written by them. And like just see how people are talking. You're gonna eventually find some words that are like very interesting, right? So we did this for like a brand that we kind of like ran last year. It was a male supplement, and we noticed like a lot of like very similar words, like wording and like how these
Oh
guys
my
talk.
God,
So
yeah.
we would use that towards our copy, right? So we would write our copy with them in mind. So typically they do stuff like that, right? So we're doing a lot of market research prior to writing the copy. Right, we're
Mhm.
looking at competitors, we're looking at how they're writing things, how they describe the benefits of that product, and then we're looking at reviews to see how people like to describe that product. Combining those two things, and then we just put a little bit of our own copywriting in it. And we like to tell kind of like a story solution kind of model. That's kind of how we write our copy. So essentially, we kind of introduce the problem, like right. So it's like, hey,
Mhm.
as you get older, your back pain is gonna just get progressively worse. You're gonna have kids, you're gonna have grandchildren. You're gonna be even more tired. It's only gonna get worse and worse. But what if I told you that there's a way that you could solve this by a simple, once a day pill that you take every morning, and you're gonna feel like $1 million again. You're gonna feel like Superwoman again. And that's kind of like how we write our copy. So we present like an issue, we kind of make the issue a little bit worse than it. Like we expand on the issue to over exaggerate it a little bit,
Yeah.
and then we kind of provide the solution from there. And then from there, it's like the generic, hey, this is like what it includes, this is what it has in it. This is how you do it. So then it becomes like a normal generic product description. But the
Yeah.
beginning, like 2 paragraphs, is that like story.
I'm glad you touched on that because so much of marketing is really the same thing, right? You talked about messaging and it's the same thing you're saying, right? So market research, again, like people spend so little time doing market research when it's it's the most important part, right? You run ads to people who don't need your service, you're gonna lose money. It's as simple as that. And it's like, if you put yourself in a position where you understand your ideal client or who you're marketing to over another person who doesn't, it's like you're gonna win in the end, right? You talked about what I really like to you talked about keywords, right? Certain phrases that you'd see people use and then you'd use it in your marketing. I think that is so smart and more people should actually do it. I don't think we'll do it enough. They would I think it would make marketing even better and easy for you as someone who's running ads, etc.
Yeah, exactly. And it even helps with like the content creation, right? Like I said, that's not my strong suit. But when I do write scripts for that, like UGC, for example, like I provide the script to the person who's gonna make the UGC. Like I include those buzzwords, right? Like it makes the most sense, right? Because the people hear things that resonate with them, they're more likely to click and trust the brand right off the bat.
Yeah.
So it does help a lot for sure, especially for UGC, even in your like just your ad creative as well.
Okay, so where do you, I remember asking you this question and you were talking about like way back when you were talking about, oh, I see TikTok being really big back then. So when it comes to paid ads, where do you see it going in the next few years?
I think it's gonna be a lot more creative focused, right? So like ironically enough, that's why I'm like learning how to be better at creatives. I'm still again like a work in progress. I can't really be, I'm not the most creative person, but I'm trying to learn how to like what makes people tick and stuff of that nature. Because I think like the algorithms are only getting better and better, right? I think within the next like 2-3 years, the algorithms for Facebook is gonna be basically like just upload your creatives and they're gonna do all the work. It's kind of already getting like that, right? So I think like they're gonna have enough data where you literally just went broad, you set your age range, and then you just put the product on, and that's it. You're not gonna really have to think about it too much. I think TikTok will eventually reach that point too, as well as like Google. So eventually, like I think that like the media buying aspect is gonna be kind of irrelevant to a certain extent, right? You might still there might still be strategies that you could do to get a little bit more boost out of it, an ad or like whatever it may be, but I think like eventually it's gonna be like 80% creative, 20% media buying. I think right now it's like a 60-40. I think creative's still winning by a little bit. But I think later it's going to be way more relevant. So I think that's the landscape I see digital marketing going towards, at least for the paid ad side. So that means that people actually need to be real marketers. Like people can't just be good media buyers anymore. They need to learn how to market, learn how to make creatives, write scripts, script a video out or whatnot, or like produce a video that gets people to like want to click. So I think that's kind of like the thing. So it's kind of like, we have to get back to like learning how to actually market, not just rely on media buying skills and the trending product at that point.
Yeah, as some people would say, like running ads is the easy part, right? And the rest is just the rest is hard, right? And it's funny because people don't do the rest enough as they should. Media buying, like people, and it's okay. People want to learn to run ads because again, like for a lot of business, they need ads, they need eyes on their product. But trust me, they need to understand who they're marketing to more than they need the ads themselves, right?
Yeah.
But I had asked my Instagram, I don't know if you saw it, just a couple of questions they'd like to ask you.
Yeah.
And
I did see it actually. I did see it.
Okay, I'm gonna get into it. So someone said, well, we already covered how do you get started. Someone said, what do you think is the best platform to currently run ads on?
It just depends what your goals are. I will say Google Ads is probably the most desirable. So like, let's just say, I'll give you the perfect example. Let's just say you try dropshipping, you're like, hey, this isn't for me. You try affiliate marketing, this isn't for me, but you still enjoy running ads, right? And you want to go work for a company, right? Like a big company that needs like an expert in digital marketing or an agency or something like that. Google Ads is it's a really in-demand skill set. I think way more, it's more desirable than Facebook ads. Everybody Facebook media buys, but not that many people Google media buy at a high level. So I will say, like, if your goal is just to be like to provide a lot of value for a lot of people, whether it be clients or even just like scaling your own stuff, Google Ads is definitely a great starting point. And I think Google Ads for e-com is like a phenomenal thing to do. I kind of push everybody who asks me this question to go towards that route just because there's less people in that space. So there's a lot less information to learn from, but that's also going to make you more desirable, right? But if you were looking to let's just say start like a home service business or something like that, I would say, try Facebook ads, right? Because you could just easily throw like lead gen campaign. Facebook ads is really good for a lot of things. because it's like a Swiss Army knife. You could like easily switch from like lead gen to phone calls to page likes to making sales. So I guess like if you want to be an overall marketer, then that's probably the better platform. But yeah, I mean, it just really depends what your goals are. I come from a Facebook ads background. I started there when it came to paid ads. So I have that, but again, like I would think Google's just kind of a little bit better right now to learn.
Okay. So you answered that question. The other question is, what is the secret to photo ads?
So photo ads, I think it's just like making them exciting. I think a lot of people like you could do the whole white background, straight picture from AliExpress and just make it work. And sometimes that does work even better than like custom ads. But I think it's like you have to put in that little extra effort if there's a lot of competitors for your product, right? So it's like making those cool flyers, hiring a graphic designer to like put your product in a cool space, photoshopping it on people, ordering it in and making your own photo shoots. I think it's just a little extra effort that needs to go in it. And it's just about mass producing. With photos, you can pump them out a lot quicker, right? You do one photo shoot, you could probably get like 50 to 100 good photos that you can now use as ads, as opposed to like videos where it's like, hey, you have to record the video, I have to chop it up, edit it, and it takes a lot more like manpower and time to get that done. So the secret of photo ads is just pump as many as you can out, as well as like just get creative with like, and putting in those extra effort, ordering it in, getting a photo shoot done, sending it to somebody to have them take photos, getting Photoshop going on that. And that's like how you kind of win with photo ads for sure.
Okay. Answer that question, very detailed answer. The other question is, how important is ads for business recurring revenue?
Can you say that one more time, sorry?
How important is running ads for business recurring revenue?
So yeah, if you're doing like a reoccurring like revenue kind of model, it's still important because like ultimately, just depending on the business model that you're a part of, like the subscription you offer or whatever it is, you're gonna have fall off, right? So like it might be like 8 months is like when the average customer falls off. So you have to know those metrics first of all. So let's just say you do the math, it's okay, every 6 months a customer typically will fall off. So you need to have paid ads to replenish that source, right? Or because ultimately, yes, you could have like organic, but organic again, it's not really predictable sometimes. Like, yeah, you could go viral and you'll be good for a couple months, but what if you have a couple slow months? Then you're kind of losing customers without replenishing them. With paid ads, you're at least like, you could predictably be like, okay, it's costing me $20 to acquire a new customer. I'm losing 50 customers a month, then therefore I have to spend $1,000 to replenish that customer base. So I will say it's important if you have a reoccurring model to know, one, like when's your drop off rate gonna happen, and then two, like you do the math to like know how much paid ads you have to run to replenish that and grow that forward.
That was a gem. Whoever asked that question is smiling right now. But someone said, any advice for someone who is interested in making money this way?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So I would say have a job when you're doing this. A lot of people think that they could just quit their job and like go all in, they're gonna kill it. I had a job for a couple months. It was like, even when I was making profit, I was like still skeptical, like, hey, this is not gonna last forever. Let me stick to this job for a little bit and then quit, right? So you need to have a job. Like anybody who tells you otherwise is like, that's just foolish advice in my opinion. And number two, it's like, don't be scared to, spend money. We talked about that. Like, scared money doesn't make money. So you're going to have to take these L's, whether it be again, financially, or if you're on TikTok and your camera shy, you're gonna have to take an L with like a couple crappy videos before you go viral. So definitely just doing that. And like, number three is just getting started. Like there's a lot of people in this space that are new that will like watch 50 YouTubers, watch every video. They can tell you everything there should know, but they've never actually done it, right? They never actually launched that ad. And until you do that, like you're not going to learn fully, right? Like taking these L's is the best teacher. Learn like spending $100 and then losing that $100 and then analyzing like and doing it yourself. Like, why did this $100 fail me? Okay, my cost per click was too high. My CTR was low. These are all things. Okay, why was that? Okay, because the ad sucked. Okay, why did the ad suck? These are all things that you learn from doing, and like you just have to do it. You can't teach it. Like any mentor will tell you that. Like the mentor is there to guide you to a certain point, but you have to ultimately be the one to take the leap of faith, right? So yeah, definitely like don't be afraid to start. And then again, like going back to that, if you're learning, definitely if you're trying to learn for free, go on YouTube, find two YouTubers. I can't really recommend, I don't really keep up with the space as much, but find two YouTubers you like and just watch their videos. Just those two. Don't watch anybody else's videos. Watch those two, figure out their strategies, and then launch YouTuber 1 strategy, launch YouTubers 2 strategy, and then figure out, okay, which kind of resonates more with you, and then just continue to do that until you get something going. And once you get something going, maybe you invest in their mentorship, maybe you invest in their course to get a little bit better info, or you find another mentor or whatever it may be at that point. But just stick to like learning from 1 or 2 people maximum, because like if you're gonna do too much, you're gonna get into that information overload state, and you're not gonna be able to like, you're just gonna scare yourself into launching pretty much.
Yeah. So I will say a lot of these questions we already like covered. So I'm not gonna go too deep. Maybe I'll pick one more. Someone said, where do you learn to run ads?
Yeah, YouTube's definitely a great starting point. I will say if you just want to learn how to run ads at a good level, don't watch the dropshippers right away. Watch like
Yeah.
people who literally just solely have like Facebook ads, like digital marketing, Facebook ads, like YouTube channels. Because those guys aren't necessarily there. Like they're kind of teaching you how to do a little bit of everything. I think it's good to like learn how to use the platform, like practice on the platform, and
Mm-hmm.
then you start watching the ecom guys because that's kind of like what the running that you're gonna want to go to. Or then you start watching the affiliate guys or whatever you may be trying to get into. But start with like the more generalized Facebook people, and then once you have an understanding of how to use the platform, how to navigate the dashboards and all that stuff, then watch the guys who do like ecom, right? Because that's just gonna help you and like pick up their content a lot easier.
Mm. Yeah, this was really good. I will say like thank you, Vic. Like
Yes.
every time that I see you doing your webinars or doing it just what Zooms for like it's usually for free or at a low cost. So I just think you're such a good person, and for doing that, for helping people, for hopping on and just like spreading all of this for free. Where do you think, or where can people find you actually to follow you, tune into your content, whatever you're doing?
Yeah, so it's just definitely like my Instagram. So at ecomvic, ecom_vic. That's like the place I'm at the most, pretty much. And if you want to connect, feel free to reach out to me, and I can see what I can help you with or whatever it may be. But I definitely will say this: like I'm not as like relevant on like the personal brand as much anymore. If I get invited to speak at an event, if it's a good friend, I'll do it as a favor. But I'm not really going too crazy on that, just because I'm
Yeah.
building something that's not really ecom like anymore, and I'm not really in the ecom space as much as like I used to. So there's some stuff where I get stumped on. Like I had a friend ask me like, "Oh, what Shopify theme is the best?" I'm like, "I have no clue, bro." Like,
Yeah.
like I literally don't know anything about Shopify 2.0 themes. Like I'll ask Jose for you, and then there you go. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, like I still do paid ads again, like, and I have client stores, but I'm not the one building the store, so that's the difference
Yeah.
there. So yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like where I'm at in terms of like stuff like that. So if you have like technical questions, I might not be the best to answer them, but if it's like just ad questions or stuff like that, I could definitely help you out. And yeah, like Shamika mentioned, like we used to throw a lot of free events, like they were ecom related. Sometimes I would have a lot of guests come on, and we would do events for charity. So it's like I think the one that we did in like 2021, we paid that was $50 online, but all the money went to charity. So that was like a cool thing. I'd love to do something again like that soon. Probably not this year, probably be next year.
Mm.
And probably do something like I don't know if it'll be in person or online. We'll figure out the details when we get there, but that's definitely still in the works because I just want to be part of the ecom community, even though I don't do as much in it anymore. Because I have good friends in the community who are good people, and I think like
Yeah.
we should be pushing this space forward for sure.
Okay. But yeah, that is it, guys. He dropped a lot of gems in this interview. Feel free to watch from the beginning to the end. And yeah, Vic, do you have anything else to say before we go?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, if anybody's starting their journey, I mean, best of luck to you, and just keep your head in the right space, and eventually you're gonna crack something, and you might change your life. So don't give up too quick, right?
Okay, that is it. Bye.
Later, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
There's Nika.
Wait, don't leave, don't leave.
Oh yeah, I
don't
won't.
leave.
But I'm just saying, like.
Okay.